The world of AI, or artificial intelligence, has been turned on its head over the last month or two with a platform called ChatGPT. So for today, let's get into the business of ChatGPT, the future of AI, and where do we stand in this world where technology could be replacing or helping us even more. Hey, what up? It's your boy MobbJustice back again with another video, and for today we're getting into a chat around artificial intelligence. Is the future really here, the way that some people are proposing? But more importantly, what are the opportunities, what are the businesses that people could be creating around these new platforms? As always, this video is brought to you by the team over at Lion Media. Head on over to check out some of the crispiest photo, video, and audio content. That's www.lionmedia.com. Head on over, check it out, and just see what the team can do for you. Now, a lot has been said about ChatGPT. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritties. We are here more for the business side of things. I will link one or two videos below that can take a deep dive into the technology that actually underpins this platform. At this point, if you have read about, heard about, seen ChatGPT, you might be wondering why this is so important if you haven't already arrived at that point. And I think the future is here if we look at some of the things that are being done by the likes of ChatGPT. And we really do say that about a lot of technology platforms as and when they are released, but this really does feel like one of those moments, particularly if one thinks about the amount of impact that ChatGPT has had for businesses as well as consumers in less than 2 months of being around. To add to the point, it's even become a main topic at this week's World Economic Forum being held in Davos, Switzerland, and also a number of schools around the world have even started banning this platform, when it comes to their schooling networks. As I said, we are not getting into the nitty-gritties of the GPT platform, but a couple of highlights when it comes to that background, just so that we have some foundation. ChatGPT is a platform that was created by OpenAI. OpenAI is a non-profit that was founded back in 2015 by the likes of Elon Musk as well as Sam Altman. Elon Musk, sort of stepped down from the company, but has maintain some type of a role, and it does contribute to the company financially. And then right now, when you look at ChatGPT, which is a form of generative AI, because it basically allows you to input text, ask questions, and then it can respond, sort of like a chatbot, but a way more advanced version of that. And ChatGPT has made a lot of waves around the world from around the late November up until now. We are in the middle of January, so less than 2 months, and it actually reached 1 million users in just 5 days, sort of showing the impact that this platform has had. Looking at how OpenAI has operated in the last year sort of shows and hints that the company is ready to commercialize its platform, and I've been watching quite keenly how they've been rolling out their various platforms during that period. I remember last week actually talking to one of my colleagues about OpenAI, ChatGPT, and some of their platforms, and during the conversation she actually went and registered an account and was starting to play with DALL-E, which is their text to image platform. Basically, you input text and it can spit out an image for you, and then ChatGPT, which allows you to input text, and then it can can, give you those responses, as we said, sort of like a chatbot, but way more advanced. And in her interaction and us having this conversation and watching someone actually using these two platforms in real time, it sort of shows, why these platforms have been able to get where they are. At least for me, in that moment, it really did, because OpenAI has been around for a number of years, as we said, since 2015. But in the tech community, people have been keeping up quite a bit with what they've been up to over the years. But in the mainstream or the consumer mind, it's only been over the last year that they've really come to the fore. First with DALL-E, which is the text-to-image platform, and then now with the ChatGPT, which was able to reach over 1 million users in just 5 days, and that number has grown exponentially since then. To this day, if you want to get onto ChatGPT at certain times of the day, it's very hard because there's so many people trying to access the platform. And I really think DALL-E and ChatGPT have been really good use cases and solutions trying to show or demonstrate the power that OpenAI has been able to come up with from their technology. And it's quite likely that there's a lot more power underneath the hood that hasn't really been shown, but at least in showing what it can do and the amount of attention it can grab in the mainstream, I think they've been really good at that. So looking at the business case for ChatGPT, we're going to be taking a SWOT analysis approach. That's where we look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Starting with the strengths, I would say that there's 3 of them. The first one is how fast the platform is. ChatGPT, if you ask it a question, let's say to write an essay, a song, or a poem, it's able to actually write that out, pretty quickly. And it also does it in a human-like way, which is an attribute of its second strength. And then thirdly, it's open source, which means at the moment its code base is available to the world to see, to improve, and the like. The only question is for how long does it remain like that. There's a good example back in the day where Netflix, which has one of the best recommendation algorithms, actually opened that up to the open source community. They were able to get it to a really good place, and then after that they closed it off. Looking at the weaknesses, the first one is that we're still dealing with a very new platform, which means that its capabilities, we're still scratching the surface. It still doesn't understand a lot of things, still gets a lot of things wrong, and then also at the same time there's still a lot that it can learn, but over time that's likely to improve. And then the second thing is the fact that there are a lot of unknowns that are still there. People are still scratching their heads. Those that are a bit skeptical are looking at ways on how do you police something like this, what are the ethical implications, and the like. Now, the opportunity side of things is where I want to spend a little bit of time. And if you look at the moves that the likes of Microsoft have been making when it comes to the investment in OpenAI, you begin to see that a company like that is seeing the light. In my view, where ChatGPT, OpenAI, and the like are, it's very possible that GPT, the underlying technology, could become for artificial intelligence what AWS or Amazon Web Services has been to cloud computing and the internet. That ability to have this one platform that you're able to then distribute and then deploy in a number of different use cases. And the fact that this is something that's able to learn and generate is going to be very important going forward. And Microsoft has been investing quite a lot over the years into the platform recently. It's been rumored that they made a $10 billion offer to invest more money into the platform at a valuation of $29 billion. And when you start to see the likes of their CEO talking about ChatGPT and GPT being being integrated into the Microsoft platforms, you can sort of start seeing where some of these things are going. And when it comes to that specifically, this might be one of those things that actually helps to make Microsoft's platforms even more attractive. One of the conversations that's there is, does something like this breathe new life into the search engine that is Bing, for example? Because from a search point of view, a lot of people are viewing this as something that could threaten the place of Google, because with Google you search for something and it leads you down your own path of research, whereas with ChatGPT you can ask a question and get an actual answer. So huge enterprise potential when you think about developing applications and solutions, increasing efficiency and streamlining some of those operations. I mean, if you think about it, this is something that works very well for customer service, for example. You insert that, and instead of some of the basic chatbots that we have, you have something like this that's able to call on a large data set and able to interact in real time and in a human-like way. And then on top of all that, it just allows students and professionals to actually get more done if you're able to use some of this. I heard the use case recently where someone who is a hiring manager is actually using GPT to actually run through CVs in the hiring process, for example. Students writing essays, fact checking, that type of thing. Developers, we've actually heard that the platform can go and check code and look for some of those errors. And then on top of all that, right, there is the potential for new jobs, careers, and businesses from something like this. I mean, think about it. A couple of years ago, before AWS, someone decided, okay, cool, we're going to learn about this, and then we're going to offer AWS certification, Salesforce certification. Who knows, in future there might be ChatGPT or GPT certification. Looking at the threats, we are going to break this down into two buckets. The first one, looking at the ethical considerations. Now, one of the first things that people have been worried about, which is why some of the schools have started banning the platform, is this concern that is going to lead to students cheating. So, for example, you can get ChatGPT to write an economics essay, for yourself. Just ask it the question, put the parameters, and it's able to write that out. So we've been seeing schools heading in that direction. Unfortunately, just because you can't access a platform on the school's network or Wi-Fi does not mean that people will not be able to do so at home. And at the same time, there's been some concerns around how people could use the platform to do bad things. So for example, one of the conversations that's been there is, let's say for example, you ask ChatGPT how to make a Molotov cocktail. According to its terms, conditions, and some of the morality clauses built into the platform, it shouldn't be able to do that. But some of the programmers have been able to push the platform to a point where you take some of those training wheels off, and you can get it to respond in some of those not so favorable ways. So now the question is, how far can it actually go? Remember, we're talking 6 to 7 weeks here. So, if people keep pushing it over time, how far can it go? Last two issues. The first one is what happens when you unleash the power of GPT on an organization's platform. So, for example, if let's say you are a bank and you unleash GPT on the entire data set from deposits, to loans, to, customer validation, that type of thing, what happens in that particular situation? How far can it go? Can you ring fence it to only work within certain parts of the business, and especially because this is a system that learns on its own, right? If you do put certain parameters around it, who's to say that in future it will not learn to go beyond some of those parameters, because this is something that is learning. And then lastly, which is tied to most of the issues we've spoken about under ethical threats, is is the issue of moderation, because in the past we've actually had some of these earlier platforms that have come through. I believe it was Microsoft as well as Facebook that back in the day had chat platforms similar to ChatGPT, but very quickly it turned ugly because people taught some of these systems to be racist and hate speech, that type of thing. How do you make sure that something like that stays out of the system? They have built in the moderation into the platform, but for now we wait to see over time what that moderation does when it's tested. Ending off with the economic concerns, I would say that there are two. The first one, we've already spoken about it, and that's the existential crisis when it comes to threatening Google and its place in the market. But then secondly, a lot of people, as we've had with other forms of artificial intelligence and technology in the past, is the threat to jobs, because this is something that can write. A lot of people in the writing professions, copywriters, journalists, professors, teachers, and the like, already are feeling the pinch to say that this is something that could take away some of those jobs. Given the power of the platform, one could see why that threat is credible, but I do think that there might be a way now that some people in those professions will be able to use something like your ChatGPT and its underlying technology to their advantage. What matters is execution at the end of the day. So in conclusion, ChatGPT, DALL-E, OpenAI, massive disruption to the world of business, art, and technology. And I think going forward, this platform or something similar to it is really going to take over the world, and it's going to be one of those technologies that is here with us for the foreseeable future. Those that can capitalize on the technology will definitely make a killing. I gave the example of AWS and the like earlier on. A lot of people have been able to make entire platforms from that technology and made billions in that time. What will ChatGPT be able to do for those that can take advantage of it? And looking specifically at OpenAI, one wonders what are going to be the next type of solutions that they're going to be bringing to the market to continue to demonstrate the power of their platform. I've actually heard that they did test out a platform similar to DALL-E, but something that could get text input and actually generate songs from the technology. But more importantly, from a business point of view, the question is going to be about, can they remain as a non-profit going forward? How are they going to answer the question of commercialization? We spoke about, do they continue being open source, or are they going to close off their systems at that point? Because at the end of the day, you do need to be able to return some of that money to shareholders. Perhaps the investment by Microsoft is one of those channels through which you are able to start commercializing the platform. But what does that mean going forward? Let us know what you think in the comments. What do you think of all of this artificial intelligence conversation that's being had? If you are more business minded, what type of applications or solutions do you think can come from ChatGPT? If you're looking at it more from a consumer point of view, have you played around with DALL-E? Have you played around with ChatGPT? Are you one of those people that is concerned that this is something that people are going to be using for bad? Are you concerned that this will disrupt certain professions and certain jobs? You guys can let us know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
This is Muffs Too Much, and you're watching MobbJustice TV. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. We're there on YouTube. Thank you for watching our video. Subscribe.